Welcome to Starting Lineup, fantasy friends. Andrew, Jason, let's get to it. As I mentioned on Monday, the bye week has probably hit you hard unless you are Team Saghini and you came prepared. But Wiebes, when do you take the -4 hit or the -8 hit if needed when you're making your transfers?
Look, Team Wiebe's out there. I know you're prepared too. Before I get into this though, let's flash to the Starting Lineup head-to-head league. Oh, not so good for me. Jason spent about the last half hour bragging about his position. Let me remind you, Jay, 2 weeks in, back to the -4, -8. I took a -4 this week. I think it's worth it. I did have Clint Dempsey. I did have Josie Altidore. I hope my fellow Team Wiebes did a better job than I did planning for the bye week. But look, the fact is, I play for head-to-head, so taking my wild card this early, it doesn't really help me that much. I hope and I believe that 4 points shouldn't be the difference between me winning or losing. So I'm going to save that thing, probably ahead of those double game weeks coming up.
Also, something to look at is who you're playing in your head-to-head league, because you can see their team last week, and if it looks like they had to make a bunch of changes and take negatives, you can probably get away with it. If you do consider using your wild card early, you might want to start to think about the upcoming DGWs. And for the fantasy newcomers out there, those are double game weeks where teams play more than one match, making their players extra valuable in fantasy.
And look, since we hook you up, here's a list of those DGWs coming up. Study those well. But remember, some of these teams have buys. So yes, Columbus not playing this round. They won't play round 5 either, but they'll double up in round 6. Chicago has a bye ahead of their DGW. NYCFC, same deal. Check it out, study up, plan your transfers accordingly.
Turning to this round now, fantasy players should be thinking about national team call-ups along with those bye weeks.
Yeah, indeed. Look, you know all about the U.S. national team, guys. Go with caution. Your Clint Dempsey's, your Josie Altidores, Michael Bradley's, they're going to be gone. Klinsmann, he says he's going to go full strength. But it also goes to the rest of these guys. Blas Perez, he looks great right now. You probably want him on your team, but he's going to be with Panama.
He's already on my team.
Oh, tough one. You need a little buzzer in your head. When you're about to hit that transfer button, think to yourself, will this guy be gone? Will I be making a transfer that I'm going to regret in a single week?
That's what makes guys like Octavio Rivero, BWP, and Innocent Amahara more valuable considering they're likely to stick around. They're not going to have those national team call-ups. So that brings up another question, Wiebe. Speaking of Innocent, would you rather have him or Wando for this juicy matchup that they have in their home opener at Avaya Stadium against what I guess we could say is a struggling Chicago Fire defense?
Yeah, I think we could just say it. But look, I would rather have Wando. 10.7 versus 9 million. He is the more expensive option, but I think he's the option that could explode. Hometown guy, you know he's scoring goals right now. In that new stadium opener, look, I just expect him to be celebrating in front of those fans 2, maybe even 3 times. I would go with him. I transferred him in. My big question mark, U.S. national team. Does he get called up? I happen to think Klinsmann looks ahead. Rubio Rubins of the world get the call. But it's a risk. It's a big risk.
We have a different strategy. You're the big spender guy. You love getting the Josie Altidores, Clint Dempsey's. I have the Blas Perez, the Octavio Riveros on my team. So just think about that, fans, for a little while.
It. It's
do you want the Team Saghini
positive,
or do you want the Team Wiebe strategy? I would have Innocent on my team.
I'm going for the big bucks here, Jay. But let's turn to Philly. We're talking about breakout players. Philly is another team that we've had a lot of questions about, and it goes to the attack. There's 3 guys that are, shall we say, underperforming right now based on expectations. Andrew Wanger, Chaco Maidana, and Sebastian Letou. Somebody's going to break out here soon. Who's it going to be? Who would you recommend people drop their dollars into?
It's an interesting question because I really feel the best about Maidana getting consistent points, and that's like 4 to 6 points per game when you look at the key passes, crosses, recovery bonuses, all that sort of stuff, but probably not on the goals side. As far as a breakout or a big 10-point game, I think I'd give Letou the nod there, especially because he's going to take PKs for them. He's the guy most likely to have that bigger, explosive game, but I'd feel more comfortable taking Maidana and knowing you're getting that 4 to 6 points, and hey, if he gets lucky and gets a goal or an assist, you're going to have a little bit more.
And look, Andrew Wanger was the darling of a lot of MLS fantasy owners starting out. It hasn't happened yet. That doesn't mean it won't. He's still an affordable option. just
move
not
on
maybe a
for
sure
now.
one. Yeah,
Move on for
yeah.
now. Come back to him later.
Yep.
All right, let's take a quick look at the back because we've been talking about all attackers so far, and we're gonna have a new segment called the Shutout Lock of the Week.
Lock it down.
All right, it could be called the Shutout Jinx of the Week by next week,
probably.
but Wiebe, give me the team that you think is a lock for a clean sheet.
We're going locks. LA is always the lock. They're at home. That's an easy one. Go LA.
All right, I'm going to go a little bit differently. This might be a little bit of a sleeper pick on the lock, but I'm going to go NYCFC on the road at Colorado for the clean sheet. I think it's going to be a close game, 0-0, 1-0 win for them perhaps. That is actually going to take us to another one, Andrew, because we've been getting a lot of questions about Baji and Shelton, two very cheap guys. Baji 4.5 is the forward for Colorado right now. Shelton 5.5 is coming off the bench for NYCFC. Where do you go with this? Which one of those guys would you rather have?
I'm calling this the budget transfer matchup, and I think that Baji's the play right now. Deshaun Brown obviously transferred out. Look, he's $1 million cheaper. You stash him on your bench at worst case scenario, and he's probably going to start. I actually like Kyrie Shelton a little bit better down the line. He could be an option to start on the road, but still, I think right now, Jason Christ still probably sticks with Velasquez.
All right, we got another Team Wiebe, Team Saghini here because I would go Shelton. I think it's possible he actually starts this week or plays a bigger role here because NYCFC might be playing back a little bit, especially on the road in the altitude in Colorado. He's great on the counter. He's a guy who can run and get up there, and he can put goals in the net. I actually predicted on Twitter that he's the guy who gets the one goal in the 1-0 win. Who knows if that's going to happen, but that's what I'm going with.
Team Saghini.
I would go Shelton here. All right, we're going to finish up with a final transfer matchup, including one of the guys from this game.
And here we go. It's David Villa against Octavio Rivero. A price difference to be sure, but since Jay has Rivero, he's obviously going to take him. That leaves me with David Villa, which I'm not too sad about either. A big game in round 2. I think he's poised for round 3 as well. A bigger field. He's getting into form. He's developing relationships with his teammate. The rub here, Jay, round 5 bye. So if you pick him up now, you need to plan for that. But you'll also be planning for, if you paid attention earlier, a double game week in round 7.
All right, I'm sticking with Octavio Rivero. He did well last week, not just in scoring the goals. He's also doing very well in moving the ball around and setting up other guys like Kakuta Mana and Nicholas Mosqueda. Now, look, they're going to have to finish their chances for those key passes to turn into assists, but it's bound to happen at some point. I think you keep going with Rivero. He is somebody you can keep on your team all the way through their double game week coming up. They're the first ones with a double game week. That's all we have for this week. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. You can tweet any other questions you have between now and roster lock time.
Friday.
You should probably also listen to my answers instead of his. Team Saghini, that's it. We're out.